Hello all and welcome, and today I'm going to continue on with my Bond reviews with From Russia With Love. And, it makes sense after Dr. No, with the huge success of Dr. No actually. They were wondering, obviously, the producers, what book to go on next, and obviously when John F. Kennedy announced that From Russia With Love was his part of his top 10 best books that he ever loved, it seemed almost obvious to go from Russia With Love. So yes, that's what I'm going to talk about today. 1963's From Russia With Love. James Bond. Yes, with Sean Connery coming back again for From Russia With Love, his first sequel to playing James Bond, and I still feel he's still not 100% just yet as playing James Bond. Still great though, don't get me wrong, when he's on screen I do think he generally is one of the most coolest characters, and just people in general really, for me frankly. I think he manages to have a nice, especially this one compared to Dr. No. I think, I'll talk more about it, but the train sequence, he can go from being a little bit nervous at times and scared, I guess, and then going from quick change to being dark and aggressive, and showing a little bit of emotion to the Bond girl, and I think it does a nice blend here. But as I says, I'm going to clearly talk a lot more of what I think of Sean Connery in the next Bond film. Bond girl. Yes, with the Bond girl in this film of Tatia Romanova, I can convey just actually how much I really love this Bond girl. I just literally watched, that's what I'm going to do with all my reviews. I want to kind of rewatch again, I'm not gonna lie, also because I love the Bond films. But for me, there's just something, for me, I think she's so stunningly beautiful as well. I think for me there's a difference between Honey Rider of the first film, where the first scene she comes out of the bikini and that's basically all you get, I feel, for her. But I think there's just so much. There's a great story to her as well, where she's kind of on both sides. She's, do you trust her, do you not? I love all that stuff, and I think she does it really well, even though, actually the actress that's not even her voice, it's a different voice, voiced by Barbara Jefford, I remember, right? And it's kind of weird, I guess, that kind of stuff for me personally, but for me, I think she's great. I think she is a really great Bond fan, and to be honest, I think she's quite an underrated Bond girl. The Bond villain. Now, for me, I think, if you want a great Bond film, I think you gotta get those great Bond villains, and I genuinely think From Russia With Love has some of the greatest Bond villains in all of the Bond films. And what I like about mostly any Bond film, if there's a group of Bond villains, I always will love that. You've got the Rosa Klebb, who is really just fantastic for me. It's nice to see a bad female villain. I don't think there's not many, and I think it's a bit of a shame. It would be great to have more of that. But anyone else find it funny, those glasses that she wears? I always find that kind of weird. But you got her. I think she's great, and obviously the big one, I think, for me is Red Grant, played by Robert Shaw, who just does a really fantastic job within this film. And actually, to be honest, he kind of looks a little bit, like Daniel Craig a little bit, actually, I think, personally. But I just think he manages to do... He is the example of the dark side of Bond. He is the kind of first character. We get this many kind of times. Scaramanga is another good example of that. Alex Trevelyan, and later on. That we get that quite a good couple of times. But here, very much the first time, and they do it so well and so right, and Red Grant really is amazing. Also, this little kind of shout out for the villains here is the first time we see, or not see, Blofeld, and I like the tease when you watch back on it. I find it a little bit annoying, actually, a little bit how people have a go at Spectre, the recent Bond film, where they kind of say, oh, I don't like how they all connect to Daniel Craig films. But really, when you look at the original, especially Sean Connery's films, they were all basically near enough connected, bar from really Goldfinger, in terms of, the Blofeld connections, Spectre connections, all the villains were all working for Spectre. So I don't know why Daniel Craig Bond films got a big beating for that, but Sean Connery ones, nope, that's all good, really. But, it's obviously the first time we see the iconic Persian cat. Obviously, I think I love it. It's so iconic, and I can't say any more about it. I really do just love it. The gun barrel sequence. Now, for this time for the gun barrel sequence, not much has changed really from Doctor No. It's mostly just the same. So we don't get the whole kind of start of saying, Albert Broccoli presents and all that kind of stuff. Though it's more the kind of the more known kind of look of the gun barrel, where it doesn't start with that. It just kind of continue. It starts with the blue, the white dots and that kind of stuff, which I like. And I very much like the Bond music. It feels very powerful. I feel like the Bond music in this one. Once again, they kind of, as a lot of people can add a go at Spectres in the gun barrel sequence, how it just kind of the gun barrel kind of dies away and then it is black and all that. But you look at some of the original ones, they didn't, it didn't actually transition into the wide zoom of the circle. It actually just faded out a lot of the time. There's a little point of note I thought to give there. The pre-title sequence. Now, for the pre-title sequence from Rush of Love, actually is by rights an odd one, because by rights James Bond is not in it, which is, I guess, kind of weird, but I love it. It's very mysterious, it's dark, it's eerie, and I think it's a great way to open from Rush of Love, especially with the type of film from Rush of Love is. I think it's a great way to open the film, and a great way to also showcase the villain in the opening. I thought that was quite a smart decision there. The title sequence. Yeah, for the title sequence, it's a good example of what we're basically going to see on for the next good load of Bond films here, so you better get used to these projections on females' bodies, because they seem to just love doing that. And for me, I guess very old, very, maybe not quite, but I think in the later films it gets very old. But for the first one here, I think it's nice. Though I'm not going to lie, sometimes some of the words are very hard to kind of read. Scene with Moneypenny. Yes, I love the start of this kind of sequence where Bond walks in and he chucks his hat and then he says, "And for my next miracle." I love that. He's so cheeky and forward. I very much like that. But with the actual kind of scene with Moneypenny, I love how the kind of closeness that they have and just the overall kind of scene. I always think, people might kind of say, why the hell do I even talk about this kind of scene really in the reviews? But I don't know, I think it's quite a huge part of the kind of the Bond mythology and all the films. For me, I always quite enjoy. I think they're quite cute scenes. Take briefing with Q. Yes, finally, here he is, Desmond Llewellyn as Q. Probably the number one Q for everyone. Number one Q for me personally. Don't get me wrong, I really like Ben Whishaw, but the guy's only done 2. He needs to do at least 18, I think, to catch up with Desmond Llewellyn. And, okay, you could maybe kind of fault him a little bit here. He's not his usual Q that we know and love. I think we don't get that till the next one. But it's a great sequence where we showcase the briefcase that I really like. And, God, I wish I actually had more of that kind of type of gadget. I think it's really quite a smart and intelligent looking kind of gadgets that they has in it, and also really useful when you see it later in the train sequence. Allies. Yeah, simply for me, for the allies, I'm just going to have talk about one character for me that I think is probably the greatest ally for me, and that is within Kirimbi. For me, he ticks every box of what an ally should be. A sudden friend almost to Bond. I love how much he is actually in the film as well. He's in a good chunk of the film, and I very much like that. And I'm not gonna lie, when he dies, I do I think it's quite a little bit of a shame when that happens, but maybe that's really about telling you, don't be friends with James Bond, because you probably will die generally about halfway through the film. Normally that kind of happens, but for me, I do like that character. He has a bit of everything. He has some great scenes with obviously Sean Connery, and I really can't fault him. I think he is just a really great ally. The action. Yeah, it's funny for actually this kind of type film, because by rights, it's not an action film, I don't believe. It's very much a story-led film. It's because I know some people are kind of going against this film a little bit, saying, it's a bit too... Some feel it's a bit too complicated, some people feel it's a bit too heavy on the story. I kind of love that aspect, if I'm honest, but... generally, the action, from Russia with Love, there is that one sequence that everyone generally talks about, and it is the train sequence, because it's fantastic. It really is a choreographed, styled stunt of action, and it's still clearly, it's clearly loved because it's still regarded as one of the greatest fights in the Bond franchise, and I think that kind of shows really, and I think for good reason why, because you can really see that Robert Shaw and Sean Connery really go at it each other. It's quite it's vicious, it's gritty, it's really violent, and I love it. The only problem I don't really like, and it's happened, Peter Hunt, the editor, loves this kind of style. I don't agree with it. He did it in Dog to Know, and he does it in many others, where he likes quick jumps of editing, and he believes, that show's fast paced, but for me, it takes me right out of the film. I almost feel like I've just missed something, actually, when you get sudden jumps of cuts like that. I don't particularly like it. But apart from that, the actual stunt work, I think, really is great. As well as the other kind of action stuff as well that happens in the film. The locations. Yes, we do have bits of, Venice, obviously, with clearly beautiful projections in the background, but, mostly the heart and soul of this film is set at Istanbul. And, it's one of those locations for me, a little bit like Jamaica and Dr. No, where it feels like a character on its own. It's so beautiful, it's so... it just feels so like spy world, where clearly, obviously, especially from Russia with Love, is very much kind of set around, and I think Istanbul just kind of gives that kind of vibe, really. And any scene that you have the backgrounds and all that is such a beautiful looking place. The climax. Now, for me, the climax is I guess it's kind of two bits, really. Obviously, the first kind of bit is the actual kind of the boat chase for me. And though it's a bit kind of stupid, I think, isn't it, of the henchman saying to slow down. You thought you'd maybe want to go faster past the to not get exploded, clearly, but whatever. But I kind of like how small scale it is. It's not huge and all that. I like that it's just a boat chase. It's not like Doctor No, where it was like in a big headquarters and all that. I really like that. I really respect that to end a film like that, because if you keep going big and big, it just gets a bit kind of dull and a bit for me personally, and I quite like that. And also the little scene, which I guess you could maybe argue is more of an epilogue, really, where Rosa Klebb tries to come back to kill good old Bond, and she doesn't succeed obviously well, but we always get that great iconic look of the shoe, with a wee gadget shoe, which has been, I think of all the gadgets, probably that shoe is probably right up there for someone that's not used by Bond, which I think is quite something, actually, that one there. But I do love the way From Russia with Love ends. I think it fits with the rest of the film. I think if they actually went big, it would work for me personally. I think it works very well. The music. Yeah, once again, they don't actually have a proper theme in the actual title sequence. And I think it's a shame, because when it was supposed to be Matt Monro, and he did a great song, From Russia with Love, and I think that's a bit of a shame they didn't use that song, because you do hear it. It does happen a couple of times, actually, through the film. And I think that's just such a shame, because I love Matt Monro, and it would be great to actually have his name on the official list, because obviously he's not. When I remember there was the 50th anniversary disc of all the themes, and obviously Matt Monro's not going to be there, and I think it's a little bit of a missed opportunity there to have it there for me personally. But overall, the music, I think, is, now that John Barry's the proper composer now for the films, and I think he does a better job mixing the music, especially with the actual Bond theme. I think he does a far better job for me at certain kind of points, especially with this one, and especially with a lot of films in the future. So yeah, that's my review on From Russia with Love. Just a wee recap, I love this film. I love it so much. I just watched it again recently, and I think I've actually loved it even more now, actually, this film. It is very more kind of, it's not as grand, it's not as big as the other kind of Bond films. It's more story-based, and God, I wish it was more story-based Bond films, because a lot more focus on the action more. And, don't get me wrong, I love the action, that's the point why I love the Bond films, but, it's nice to have sometimes just a story-focused Bond film. I think it's quite nice, a wee change like that. But I literally, every kind of point I've kind of given here, I've kind of pointed out. I love the Bond villains. The Bond girl, I think, is great. Sean Connery's getting there. We'll talk more of him in the next Bond film, very much so. But overall, yeah, it's a film. From Russia with Love is still one of my favourites for me personally. So what did you think then? Did you like From Russia with Love? Did you love it? Did you hate it? Please comment down below. Tell me what you think. More Bond films in the future. Next one coming up will be Goldfinger. So until then, See you later.